Hey, Byron.
Yeah, he done.
I'm good. How you doing?
Good.
All right, let's get it.
My name is Byron, Big Baby Washington. I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior at Desoto High School. I play offensive lineman. I'm from Motherhood, Louisiana. Growing up in Louisiana, Murrah is a small city, so everyone knows each other. A real close community, and we have a lot of fun growing up. I grew up on a country road with my grandparents. I had friends that had grandparents, they stayed together, so it was a good 6 of us. It wasn't that packed, but they had their land, and luckily one of my friends had a football field in his yard, so we used to have a lot of fun. My grandparents, when I was younger, I thought that they were my mom and dad, and that my mom was my sister, because my mom had me at a young age, so they raised me and they gave me the ropes. And then when my mom graduated from college, I was able to move in with her. When my mom would come back from college, it was like when your sibling come back and they was in college and they came back home to visit the family. So every time I see my mom, I just always knew I ain't had that much time with her, but let's make the best of it. I remember I was on the phone with my mom one day, I think it was about a Monday, and she told me she was coming down on Friday. And I could remember on the house phone, we had landline, that's how you know we was in the country. I remember calling her about 15 times, stayed up all night, and she finally came. And that just made my day right there. Just being able to see my mom staying up all night. She took me to get something to eat, and we watched Transformers all night long.
My name is Brittany Lewis.
And where are you originally from?
I'm from Monroe, Louisiana.
And what is your relationship to Byron Washington?
I am Byron Washington's mother. The emotions of being pregnant with Byron weren't really positive emotions. I was a teen mother, pregnant at 18. I had Byron at 19. I actually considered adoption or abortion at one point with Byron, but it just was not a successful thing. So that was kind of a negative thing. I had to kind of grow into motherhood, if that makes sense. So initially when I hid my pregnancy until I was about 38 weeks, which is right at the end. The only reason I decided to tell my family, I had an adoptive family for Byron actually, but I ran into some health issues, preeclampsia, where I was kind of scared because the doctor said to me, you need to have this baby now or you could die. So with that being said, I had to tell my family, tell someone so that I could have that comfort. I was not supportive. My mom was not happy at all. Of course, that dynamic has changed now. But initially, I was her daughter who was supposed to go into medical school. Just your picture perfect, I guess, high school student in the eyes of a parent. So pregnancy was the last thing that they expected from me in a Christian household, and my stepdad was a pastor. My mom always pushed education, so that wasn't a question. But Byron was my motivation for completing nursing school because I wanted a different scenario for my child. Initially, we lived in the projects, and yeah, that's a whole different story.
Me and my dad, we always, being close. I always knew if I need him to call, if I need someone to call, he was there. And he was in college at the time when I was growing up, so whenever he would come back down, it was just the same thing with my mom, but with my dad, he'd take me and my brother on a trip. We would go down to the country, go fish, just have fun while we knew that he was in town before he had to go back to college.
His dad played football at Ole Miss, so that was kind of something we started when he was about 2. He had a football in his hand, just kind of walking around, wanted to play catch, just typical kid stuff. But as far as organized sports, I had no idea. He was 8 years old, and he said that he wanted to play football. So of course, every parent is okay. So my friend Trum was gonna coach a team as well as William. So they kind of talked to us about it. We went, got him the gear. So funny, we could not find a helmet to fit him at 8. We had to search around forever to find his helmet. So he started playing 8 years old. I want to say it was the Monroe Dogs. And that's just kind of where we started. That was like his first time with football. He played like YMCA basketball when he was 5, 6, and 7. But like organized hitting football, he got kicked off of a flag football team for making contact. He didn't understand the concept that you're not supposed to hit people. So
I was a basketball player when I was about 5, 6, 7 years old. So then my basketball teammates, my teammate dad formed a team called the Morrow City Dogs. And they, I seen my friends wanting to go play football, so I decided let's go play football. And when I was a year before that, we played flag football. So in flag, I got kicked out for hitting people, being the bigger person, bullying them. And I got kicked out of flag football. So waiting a year, when we started that tackle football team, at first it was kind of hard because I took that year off from football. But, a couple times I got hit, wanted to quit. But once I just got that fire in me, once I lit that fire, it was over. I felt like I was born to be an athlete, honestly. I have a 6'4" dad and a 6'2" mom, so I just felt like that was bound to happen. I can remember in elementary, I was the same height as my kindergarten teacher. So it's crazy because when we would go to lunch, I would walk in with her. The principal would be like, "Man, where's the teacher?" She'd be right behind me and they couldn't even see her. So when I was younger, I can just remember everyone else having to like sit in the smaller little lunchroom tables, like the little chairs that was next to each other. And they just got me a chair to sit at the end of because my legs were so long.
Bad. Byron was bad. Like anything you could think of, he did it. Byron would probably say I was strict in the projects because it was like a little circle in the projects. Byron had bike, he had toys. He mostly had to stay in the house. I would let him go out and ride his bike, but that was maybe once a week. So he was like very confined. Probably the worst thing he did in the projects was left the house. I was cooking. I left the kitchen door open. I'm like, okay, I can watch you while you ride your bike. He went and got in the vehicle and reversed the vehicle. Hit somebody else's vehicle. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. I mean, it didn't even scratch the car because he didn't accelerate. But yeah, he was bad.
How old was he when he did that?
6.
Oh my.
Byron was bad. Yes. He was always like very outspoken, always very helpful. He always had like a big heart. And I think part of that was he saw me, and then I got that from my mom. So like if we're driving down the road and he sees someone, homeless, although we didn't have much, "Mom, do you have $1? Can we give them $1?" And that kind of follows him to date. We'll still go out and feed the homeless quarterly. So he has a really big heart. He had that back then.
My Uncle Brandon, he's 8 years older than me. So when I was about 6, he was just in high school. But since he was special needs, he has autism and Down syndrome. So that's what brought us close together. Ever since I was young, I always looked after him, whether it was us, taking a bath together, and me brushing his teeth. So from a young age, I always had that leader mindset in me.
Me and Byron didn't have that instant mom-son connection. From birth, because even when I birthed him, the typical, skin to skin, baby on mom's chest, we didn't do that. So I really think that played a factor in like our bonding. Once we kind of got, I'll probably say like 2, 3 years old, then I noticed that bond started to get, of course, I'm his mother, right? Once he was at my parents' house and I would have to go there because I'm always in nursing school or nursing clinical or things like that, it was just kind of like a drop-by. Like, I still had the feeling that was my son, but I was going to visit my son, if that makes sense. Byron has kind of always moved around. Once I graduated nursing school, a year later, I became a travel nurse. So pretty much wherever I went, he went, with the exception of 2 junior high years. When we were in California, Byron was like kind of acting out. And the reason was he's bigger than everybody. He's taller than everybody. He can't relate to anyone. He's in 6th grade. No one looks like him. The school maybe had 2 African Americans out of 600 students. So he was really struggling with his identity. So it was at that time like I realized you need to go home, you need to be with your dad, you need to be around people who look like you. Once he went home and he did that, I told him, I'm gonna be in California, you're with your dad. So I would fly back and forth to his junior high football games every week. I would still come home out in off season about every 2 weeks. And then I told him, like, once you get to high school, we're going to pick a school, we're going to settle. Because you have given me the grace of being a travel nurse all these years. So now it's time for us to settle. I don't want you, like, trying to choose different friends. So when it came to moving, we were actually at a camp in Florida. Funny story. We were in a Nike store initially. Byron had gone to a camp and absolutely sucked at that camp. Okay, so we were in a Nike store and we were talking. He was like in 8th grade with a size 14 shoe. So we're looking for shoes and these guys like, I know you play football. And he's like, no, I just, got back from surgery, but I'm trying to get back into it. They're like, oh, okay, let's just make you a Twitter and see what happens. So we made a Twitter like in the Nike store. Once we made that Twitter, they showed us how to set the Twitter up. We got all kind of feedback from everywhere. So we spent that summer in Florida, in Georgia, South Carolina. We probably went to, and this is probably a rough estimate, about 15 schools within the state of Texas. Me as a parent, I wanted to see where Byron was mentally as far as his decision making. So I'm like, okay, we got 10 schools, now we got 5. I need to know your top 3 and I need to know why. So we sat down. I had already made up my mind for DeSoto. I just liked it. I liked the environment. I liked the culture. I liked the numbers. They call it Desoto University. So they put kids out to colleges. So when I sat down to ask Byron, he said, well, I'm kind of stuck between 2, DeSoto, Duncanville. And I said, well, why? So he told me, well, I like DeSoto because Coach Charles told me even if I don't choose this school, he still cares about me. That's the first person who has saw me in 30 schools that we've been to as a person and not just a big athlete. So when he said that, I was like sold. He was really excited. We went through that first freshman year there. He loved it. But then as different things started to happen and the expectations were higher on him, he wanted to pull back. Like, Mom, I want to go back home. I want to move back tomorrow. And I told him, I said, no, we're not doing that. You're not going back tomorrow. When things get hard, you don't run. You stay the course.
When I moved to Texas, I knew there was going to be a hard change because coming from a little city like Monroe to a big city like Dallas, I knew that it was going to be tough, but if I invested the time and work ethic putting into it, that I could make something special out of my football dream. I was excited to just see how the difference of ball was from Louisiana to Texas. I had my growing pains coming in here. I wasn't always just the best athlete, but once I got to get to that dominant side of Texas high school football, I became one of the most unstoppable athletes in the world. I attended Carroll Junior High School, and now I'm at Desoto High School. I can just tell you right now, like, the series at football is taken down here is just a totally different level. Like, in Louisiana, football is a sport, but in Texas, it's like a lifestyle. Like, if you don't play football here, something wrong, especially if you got the size. DeSoto stood out to me because, first of all, they developed so many O-linemen in the future. Like, they had one class where like 5 of their starting O-linemen went Power 5. So just seeing that and just seeing how they work and seeing how they develop kids, I knew I wanted to be a part of that program. For me, it was like a needle in a haystack because the school was so big, and I'm a big person as well, but it was just like coming in, not knowing anyone, just going to class. Making friends just because I'm big, but not really having friends I could trust. So that first year was pretty rough, but once I got to adapt to it, here we are today. My freshman year, I got to start on JVA. I skipped from the freshman team and went straight to JVA. Nothing was ever given to me. I had to work. My freshman year, I was competing with juniors for the starting job on JV, so that just made me work harder. And don't get me wrong, my first few games, I kind of had a rough start. Like I was getting beat up all, but around game 4 or 5, when I found myself and found my confidence, it was over. Going into my sophomore year, just knowing that my IQ got better over the off season, lifting, running, and just all the adversity that I faced throughout the season, it just made me just turn it on more. Like going into my first varsity game, like I was a little scared, but once I seen people that were smarter than me could do it, I was like, man, I'm this big. There's no way I should be this scared to just go out there and play. And it wasn't scared of the competition. It was really scared of the expectation of, Texas high school football. The stadium is packed out every Friday. I just didn't want to make a mistake. But once I got settled in, became myself, I thought I could run through a brick wall. I can remember the 2022 season when we played Dallas Skyline, and they put me in the fourth quarter, and I just started running through people, taking people 20 yards upfield, pancaking people. Once I didn't even realize how strong I was. I lifted a guy off the ground and threw him on the ground. So I didn't realize how strong I was until that time. And after that game, just watching my highlights, I was like, man, this really me? Just knowing how much I had to go through to get to this spot. But I know I wasn't finished. I know I had to keep climbing week by week. I got my first offer from Grambling State University going into my junior year of high school in the spring. That offer right there, it wasn't the biggest offer. I know I wanted to get a bigger offer, but just knowing that I had an opportunity to go play at the next level, it made me want to work harder. Around me, I know a lot of people was just happy for me, my coaches, but I also knew haters were going to hate. At the end of the day, you can do 1,000 good things and people are still going to hate. Adversity can hit in many different ways, but when it hits at home, it's just hard to kind of navigate through everything. I can remember, I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday when I got a call from my mom after school, and I was just waiting on her to pick me up, and she didn't remember that she dropped me off this morning. Me, I was kind of like, what, like, is she playing on the phone? Like, because she was asking me, did I drop you off this morning? I was like, yeah, Mom, you dropped me off.
February 2022, I had just finished a travel assignment in California. Came home the next day. I was in the bed. I took Byron to school that morning. I came back home, got in the bed, went to sleep. Byron called me at about 2:30 that evening, and this is Byron's report because honestly, I don't remember. So he called me, he told me that, he said, Mom, come pick me up from school. And I said, who are you? And he's like, this is Byron, this is your son, come pick me up from school. And I said, I don't know you, what do you want? So he said he got someone to get him a lift from school. He came home, he was calling me to let him in the door, but I couldn't get up to walk. So he had to call the apartments to let him in. He came into the house, I was in the bed, I had a seizure. So I was completely disoriented to who he was and what was going on. He was trying to get me to the hospital, but I'm assuming in my mind, I'm thinking I'm just getting out of bed. I need to bathe first. So I had him to help me to the bath. He basically carried me to the bathroom, got cleaned up. We went to the nearest emergency room. And in the emergency room, they asked me, ma'am, do you know you had a brain tumor? And I said, no, I did not. Where is it? And so they said, you have a brain tumor on the right front side of your brain. And I said, okay, so, what does that mean? Of course, this is after all the testing and different things like that. And so after they told me that, they said, we're going to have to transfer you to a higher level of care. We'll have to, care flight you. So they transferred me to another hospital. I work in labor and delivery as a nurse. At this time, my orientation kind of comes back around from the post-ictal phase of the seizure. So I'm in the hospital like, what is going on? Why am I in the bed? What happened to me? And so Byron is like, Mama, you're sick. And I'm still confused. Like, I'm asking my family, I'm asking my partner, like, what happened to me? What did you let them do to me? And so the doctors come in and they're like, Miss Lewis, you have a brain tumor. And the only way we can get it out, you have to have surgery.
So I rushed home. I hurried and got an Uber home, and I got her to the hospital and come to find out that she had brain cancer and there was a tumor in her head and she had to get emergency surgery. So being a sophomore, having to deal with all that, I had to cut my mom's hair so she can have brain surgery. It was all tough, but it just forced me to grow up quicker.
I had the surgery, came out of surgery, was not talking like myself. I had a stutter, wanted to get up because I'm thinking in my head, like, surgery that I know, I get my patients up the next day, we get a catheter out, we walk. So the next day I got up, I can't really feel on this side. And they're like, well, you didn't have a stroke, but we did cut into your brain, so give it time. I paused and I'm like, okay, give it time. Sure, I'll give it till tomorrow. So I told my mom, I was like, listen, they won't let me get up, but we're in this room. I said, just stand on my left side. I have a walker. I need to get up. I need to walk. So I got up, my mom on that side, still kind of weak. Made it back to the bed. Eventually, once I went into the bathroom, they told me that they were gonna shave my hair. I didn't remember that. So when I look in the mirror, like half of this is gone. I still have all my hair over here. So I'm like, what happened? Where is my hair? And then I start to freak out because, yes, it's just hair. You can get weave, but you guys just told me you were going to shave a patch. Like, I had a half head of hair. So I came back to the bed and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go home now. They're like, we can't let you go home. Supposedly, I agreed that if they close my head, then I have to stay in the hospital or sleep sitting up 60 degrees for 30 days. Or they could have left my head open and I could have been in ICU just to watch for the swelling. My head was closed, so I had to sit. I wanted to lay down in the bed, but I had to sleep sitting up. We got to about day 5, like I still have my personality. I just can't articulate what I'm trying to say. So all I could tell them was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. Like, I want to go home. So I had the surgery March 1st. March 2nd, Byron was already scheduled for a surgery on March 3rd at Scottish Rite to remove metal from his legs. So, of course, that day in the hospital, we're FaceTiming. He has to often remind me, like, I'm your son. But I truly believe I knew he was my son because when they told me he had to have surgery, I completely broke down in the hospital. Blood pressure skyrocketed. Just a complete nervous breakdown because I'm here, had my head cut open on the 1st, and my son has to go on the 3rd to have metal removed without his mom. Thank God my mom was there, but it was too much. So we got to like the 5th, March 5th, and I'm still telling them, like, I want to go home. I want to go home. And they're like, okay, we're going to discharge you. So I'm excited. I'm going to get discharged. Well, then the doctor comes back and say, hey, you don't meet criteria. We need you to go to an inpatient rehab. And I said, I don't want to go to rehab. Like, I cried, I begged, I want to go home. And so finally Byron came, he was like, Mama, you have to get better. Like, you got to get better. You can't go home like this. I ended up going to the rehab. I think I was there 16 days. That was like one of the hardest things because I had like rehab 6 hours a day, having to learn how to walk, talk, all of those things is just frustrating. I felt like I was trapped in my head, like I was trapped in my body. I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't articulate it. I would stutter. I had like a childlike voice. I would want to get up and walk to the restroom, but I'm falling. So I have to be in a wheelchair with a gait belt everywhere I go. It was just, yeah. So then it came time, and I'm telling them, like, in rehab, I'm going to walk out of here. So they would go and take me to rehab for the 6 hours. Byron would come and visit me, like, after school, and me and him would do rehab. Like, he would, at the time, he had dreads. So he's like, Mama, we got to make sure you can feel in your left hand. So he's making me twist his hair. He would take me, like, outside, take me on an extra walk. All these things for me to get back, I would probably say 50% functional, to what my normal was. Got out of rehab, walked out of rehab, went home, not knowing, like, there would be a completely different monster. And I tell people all the time, this is where Byron had to grow up. Because I didn't know my bank account logins. I don't know how to manage money. I can't even sit my medicines out day and night. Basically, Byron taught me that. Like, he would do it every day, take the time, sit there like, Mama, you take this, you do this, you do that. Like, it got to the point where I would be like, somebody took my money. And Byron be like, no, Mama, no, they didn't. This is this and that is that. I'm like, okay, everything was somebody stole something. Somebody stole something from me every time. Like, Byron, somebody took my sugar. He's like, no, Mama, like they right there. I'll give it to you. And so during that time, I'm like his child, and he's like my dad. Staying up at night, because I had to go to the restroom, like, I'll probably say every 2-3 hours. I'm getting up falling. This kid has to go to school the next morning, but staying up, like, getting up 3-4 times during the night to get me to the restroom and back to my recliner, because I couldn't lay in the bed.
Byron just told this to me. He said, it's Johnny, you and Mary, because y'all got I mean, tell him we gonna stick together. Tell him.
Huh?
Tell John. You said stick together.
We can say it on 3. 1, 2, 3.
We gonna stick
together.
I had to maintain class, maintain football while having a sick mom. My mom, she my everything. It was just me and her. So having to be able to be like a physical therapist to her, a speech therapist, while having to stay on top of my grades, make sure I can play good.
So I feel like that period of time kind of showed me, like, this is who my son is. Like, yeah, he's always had a big heart, but most teenage boys, and when I thought, like, I kept telling him, like, let your coaches know, let your teachers know. He didn't tell anybody. And when I found out, I was like, Byron. And his grades did drop during that time. Like, he keeps a 3.4 or higher GPA. And I didn't find out until the end of the year that his grades had dropped. But he didn't tell anybody. Like, still going to workouts. Still, he has to leave home, calling me during school. Mama, you okay? Mama, you this? Mama, you that? My cousin did come and stay with me, which was a huge help. But Byron still was, like, doing the check-ins. Like, I was at home by myself. So that was, like, the biggest part of it all.
It was just all a lot. But I knew that I wanted my mom to have that big house when I made it to the NFL. And I wanted my mom to have a Rolls Royce or whatever car she wanted.
I'm leaving rehab. And so I look up at the doctor, and I ask her, like, because my mom had a brain tumor, which was non-cancerous. So as I'm leaving the rehab, I look up at the doctor, and she looks at me, and I said, please tell me it's a meningioma, which is non-cancerous. And so she looked down at me, and she said, I'm sorry, it's not. I said, well, what is it? And she said, it's not a meningioma. You need to go see oncology tomorrow. So when I left rehab, I kind of held it into myself, kept it all night, knowing I'm going to my appointment the next day. Well, I'm thinking it's just going to be me. My cousin's going to take me to the appointment. We'll be fine. Byron's like, no, I'm coming. It's like, okay, I don't know what's going to become of this. So we get to the oncology appointment, and we're all just talking, and the oncologist will get my partner on FaceTime, and he's just like, you have glioblastoma. He said, but you'll do well because you're younger. And I said, okay, like, what does that mean? So he just kind of broke it all down. At the time, he didn't give me a lifespan. He just gave me the diagnosis. So he said, you'll go to Texas Oncology, which is the center for chemo and all those things, and they'll give you a better plan. And so Byron walked me downstairs from that appointment, and I asked him, I said, Byron, do you understand what he just said? And he said, yes, I know what he said. I said, okay. How do you feel? He said, I'm not worried about it, Mama. He said, I'm not worried about it at all. So I said, do you realize what he said? Like, I have cancer. And he said, I'm not worried. So at that point, I was like, I gotta fight. If Byron's not worried, I gotta fight. I had an oncology appointment with a neuro-oncologist. This is usually a cancer that's in older white women. You're younger and you're Black. She said, but at best, I'll give you 6 months to live. And so I looked at her and I said, so what we gonna do for these 6 months? She said, you can do you could do chemo, but you're gonna have to be on chemo for the rest of your life. Cause that's the treatment for glioblastoma. And so I said, okay. So then we started like on a chemo pill, different things like that. I did radiation for 5 days a week for 30 cycles. And the chemo would like make my hair was like finally coming back from surgery. And then finally it would just like hurt. My hair would literally hurt. And so I told Byron, like, I can't keep going through this. And he was like, Mama, just let's go bald. He said, you'll look pretty bald. I'll cut it for you. Like, no, Byron, I'm scared. I've never been bald before. I always had some kind of hair. And so we, went to the house. He shaved my head. And me seeing myself like that, I was just like, this is not real. Like, why is this happening to me? Like, I am literally 34 years old. Why is this happening to me? And Byron said, well, Mama, you're going to be all right.
And what was that like? Like, you go back to the moment of like when he actually had to shave your kid, like that moment. Like,
for me, I was like discouraged, really sad. He like behind me listening to trap music, like, yeah, my mom about to be flying, Mama, you gonna be stunned on him. Don't worry about it. And so I'm like, Byron, I can't. And so he was like, just look in the mirror. It's fine. Girl, just put your hoops on. And so, again, I just had to like come into what it was. It was no way around it. Like, I can't have my child here saying, oh, you're going to be fine, Mama, you going to fight. We going to do this. Like, don't trip. I got you. And then, don't get me wrong. I still had my moments. Like, I had moments where I would call my friends and be like, listen, we need to set this will up. If this is what is going to be, I don't want Byron to see me like this. I don't want Byron to experience this. If it comes to that point, I want Byron to stay in Texas because he's just coming into himself. He has this motivation for football that I've never seen. I need him to stay in Texas. This is what he wants. I love this version of Byron. And so in my head, I'm like, of course Byron has a dad, but me and Byron just had this really like, that's my kid, but that's my best friend. I'll beat him down. I keep him in check. He'll check me if I get out of line. It's just this really dynamic relationship. And so when I was sick kind of alone, because he wouldn't allow me to be down. Any little thing, I would drop food, like trying to make stuff for myself. He'd be like, I got it, Mama, you good? It's okay. Everybody drops stuff. And at that moment, that's what I need to hear. In actuality, I know that ain't the case. Like, people don't just walk around making a mess, dropping food in the kitchen. I would go to cut up fresh fruit, just sit in a chair. What you standing up for? He really doing this, I'm gonna fall in a minute. As I think back on it, like, he was just setting me up to make me feel better in those moments. So, for me, I would get by myself. Like, I would sometimes be in the restroom, but I would hurry up and just kind of dry it up because I don't want him to see me like that. I would have to sit with the moments of who's going to take care of my son? Who's going to keep up the things that I keep up? Who's going to wake up with him in the morning and play worship music and probably have a fight on the way to school and then getting out the car saying, I love you? Like, I know my friends and my family will take care of him, but I'm still like, that's my baby. Like, God, you please, this cannot be the story. Don't take me away from my child. Please don't do that. I don't want to do that to him. I'm not afraid of death at the moment at all. it was just like, I don't want to do this to Byron. I don't want him to know what that pain feels like. I don't want him to ever look up in the stands and see everybody who loved him except his mama. And during his freshman and sophomore year, we had a few family members die. He kind of expresses himself by, writing like rest in peace on a certain cleat or a glove. And I'm like, God, I don't ever want my baby to have to write my name on any of his football equipment. So I need you to get me through this. So all my hair has come out, and Byron gonna cut the rest. Pray for me, cause he ain't no ball.
Put me in there.
Okay, go.
Ready?
Upward.
No.
I can't.
Put your hand back here.
Oh, okay. Wait, his hair falling on me. Get it over.
I knew what my mom would want me to do no matter what. I knew she wanted me to go to class. I knew she wanted me to be successful in football. And ever since I was little, I was always taught to just keep going. And the times I wanted to quit, the times I just wanted to go and tell coach, like, I don't want to play football. I just want to take care of my mom and go to school. I always had a voice in the back of my head of my mom just telling me to keep going, I've always had tough times with playing sports. And my mom just always told me to keep going, keep going. It was a year, so my mom really didn't get, like every day was a step and a step and a step. My sophomore year, my mom wasn't able to attend any of the games I got. Well, second half of the season is when she got sick. When that springtime came, she was able to, kind of get out the house, kind of be able to be back. And I just seen my mom in the stands for the first time. It was just like, I've been waiting on this moment for a while, because when she wasn't able to come, this just would continue to push me. Well, now she the loudest person in the stands. She always gonna scream my name. Even in the loudest settings, I could still find her and hear her.
I've always been the loudest person in the stand. Now, this year, it's times 10. It's times 10, because you need to see that I'm your biggest cheerleader when the world is against you.
I would say I cried, but my stomach kind of dropped. I just had a second to reminisce through all the things we've been to, like me teaching her how to read, teaching her how to talk, staying up late so when she need to go to the bathroom, I can get up and take her. That was just a movie playing in my head, and that just made me want to go out and work. Me seeing my mom in the stands really is what motivated me throughout my junior season. Just seeing her able to walk up the steps and be able to sit there after she has been through all that she has been through, I knew that like little injuries, like I just knew I could keep going. Like anytime I got banged up or kind of hurting, like don't get me wrong, football is a violent sport, but if you ask anyone, like when you have a lower body, especially a lower body injury, it's kind of hard to keep fighting through, because your feet is everything in football. So even when I got hurt, sometimes I could always just go back and think like, man, my mom just fought cancer. I can do anything.
It was like exciting torture. I was excited because I actually got what, I asked God for. I could sit here, I could watch my baby out on that field. But I'm tortured because now I have this anxiety of we're in public. What if I have a seizure? What if I fall up these stairs? Byron is down there on the field. I'm up here. Nobody around really knows what we're going through as a family at the moment. So I had like all this torture and these different, I couldn't really enjoy the game, but I know that I'm looking at my son who started here freshman year, and now he's him. And that's what I say. Like Byron is humble. I ain't that humble. So I see, the progress, but I have like this anxiety about myself. Like, yeah, okay, I'm with a few family and friends, but who's gonna think to kick into this mode if I have a seizure? But overall, it was exciting. I wanted to be there. I would be there, when I was like in the middle of chemo. I would just kind of sit far away. And I could tell at the games, like, he would tell me, like, Mama, you don't have to come. And so I would learn that he was bothered because during his game, he's still like looking up in the stands. Like, you good? You all right? You good? Even when I wasn't good, I still had to throw that thumb up because I don't want to distract him from his games.
For me, it was more about like do I really want people to know like what's going on with my mom? Like I don't like for people to feel bad for me. I just rather people like to continue to support me. And I didn't want my coaches to try to take anything off. I didn't want them to waver. So I knew that I wanted to just keep this, and as long as my mom's continue to get better and better, I want to get better and better. My offensive lineman coach, Coach Williams, he was like my dad at the time. Well, not even like, he was my dad at the time. He was a father figure. And most importantly, he was a person I could just go talk to, keep it 100 with. So even the days when I can say, like, I was a sophomore at the time, like I had days where I just wanted to go be childish. He always continued to remind me, like, your mom is at home, you got to take care of her. And that, you know, this football and this student athlete stuff is a responsibility. So with me and him, that just brought me and him closer. Just when he was there for me and my mom was sick, he brought me to school, picked me up to school, took me back home. So that was kind of like my outlet, just talking to him while playing football. Going through those hard times, it was tough, but now that I look back at it, I feel like God put those hard times in my life just so when adversity hit now, it's nothing to me. And it just helps me appreciate my mom even more. Don't get me wrong, I love my mom, but just us going through that brought us even closer. Seeing myself going viral was a big moment this year because I just remember when I was a nobody looking at the older kids, like the seniors at Desoto going viral for plays. But just seeing myself, I still wasn't satisfied because everyone knows people hate on me, the comments, but just going viral, I just always looked at it as a blessing and a curse.
Look up at this man. Point the camera up at his ass. Tell him how old you is, bro.
15.
Say it again.
15. It's fun to be going viral, but you know, the expectation has risen as well.
Byron goes viral often. People say horrible things. Oh, he's overweight. Oh, he won't make it. Oh, his heart's gonna give out. Like horrible. The social media is horrible in that sense. So thankfully he's not bothered by it, but those things I feel like subconsciously he'll read them sometime. So when you're getting all that negativity in, I gotta make sure you know, no matter, I like he say, I stand on business behind you.
I know I was big, but when I see myself on SportsCenter and ESPN, I was like, man, I look up to NFL guys and they get posted on there. So when I seen that, I just reminisced on the days when I had nothing, when I was a nobody, you know, just a kid from Louisiana, a small city. So now me being on the big stage, that just made me, you know, a lot of people would say that made them feel like that mission was complete. But that just made me say, man, you on national TV now. What you doing now ain't gonna cut it. You gotta keep elevating. Because at each level you rise, trust me, it's someone that's coming after you saying, I'm gonna be the one that poked the bear.
The very first time, like, I had no clue. So, like, everybody's, like, hitting me up, texting, like, you know Byron viral, you know Byron viral, you know he viral, he on Destroy, man, he viral. And I'm like, okay, now I'm not a TikTok girl. Give me Facebook, I got it. But TikTok, no ma'am. So they like, oh, he viral on TikTok. And so I'm like, okay. So we went to look at it. And honestly, it wasn't even a play that he went viral behind. He was standing on the sideline with like a YouTube football player. And he was like, hey, how tall are you? How old are you? How this, how that? And it just blew up because people couldn't believe he was 15 and that height. So I went in the room and I'm like, Byron, you viral. Of course, Byron nonchalant. He like, I know. He could care less about any of that. So for me, I was like, okay, so now this is where we couldn't go anywhere in the first place, but now it is horrible. Like, we cannot go anywhere. We were just at like Scottish Rite, and so people just looking, and he like, Mama, they about to say something. I was like, yeah, they are. Oh, you that boy from Desoto. Oh, can I get a picture? I'm like, I'm gonna start charging people for pictures because we'll be all right now. Cannot go anywhere. New York, anywhere we go. It's not just home. Mexico. Someone came up to me and said, do you know your son is like a star athlete in Mexico? And I was like, I don't know. They said, well, you guys visited because we went for his 15th birthday after I finished chemo. And so he just ended up taking one picture on the resort Everybody wants to take a picture.
I'm not satisfied at all. Like this year when we won our back-to-back championship, to me, I was happy for the community, but just in my heart, my mission not complete, because I know I want 3 rings, not just 2. So now I'm just looking forward to the next season to be able to leave a legacy at Desoto as one of the best offensive linemen, and to have been a part of the best class to ever come through Desoto to get a 3-peat. I want to leave high school a 5-star athlete. I want to not just be known as a football player, but as a leader and as a staple in the Desoto community, and not even just the Desoto community, just around the world. And I just want to go into college knowing that I did everything I could in high school, and I never want to live regret like I wish I would have did this in high school. I want to just know that I did everything that I wanted to do and I stood on business.
I want him to use his platform as ministry. He already, kind of does it. We first started coming to DeSoto he was a freshman on JV. He's running out. Everybody's just kind of running up and standing. Byron runs and takes a knee. Then maybe a few games later, everybody's running out and take a knee. I mean, he's a kid, he's a teenager, he does his thing, but I tell him all the time, don't ever miss an opportunity to tell somebody what God did for you. So I don't want him to ever miss the opportunity or to forget. Like, he literally has a tattoo. He snuck that in on me. But he has Philippians 4:13. I told you he was bad. He has it, and I said, you cannot walk around with that on your arm and not open your mouth.
I feel like it's a blessing and a curse that she caught that, because her getting that, getting cancer, it just made me just build the fire. I feel like a new person, to be honest. Like, I don't feel like I'm done until my mom has her own house, has her own car, and I could provide for my mom. Like, I don't want my mom to ever work again. So that's what keeps fueling me today, just knowing that I want my mom to be able to, come over, enjoy her grandkids, and never have to worry about work.
It's just exciting. Like, I'm enjoying the ride. Like, yes, I'm tired and I'll complain like, oh my God, another recruiter, another coach. But honestly, it's just exciting. Like, to see him bloom and to see the things that he wrote down, like, come to life. It's just like exciting for me. I'm really excited about college. And then, like I said, prayerfully pro. And I believe that's going to happen because so many people have spoken it over him. Like, you're going to go pro. And I believe words have power. So for me, I'm just like, and he'll even tell me, I'm like, okay, I get to go back to work in 7 months. And he's like, nah, you're not going to work again. It's like, okay. Let's make it happen then.
I'm not really worried about colleges right now, to be honest with you. I want to get my 3rd ring. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm choosing and deciding where I can fit in, what kind of system, what kind of play call, but I want to get that 3rd ring first.
I just kind of treat it like we did the pick in the high school. We have a notebook where we talk to different, coaches and college recruiters. I personally kind of keep up with their character, the things they say, if they deliver those things. I have no input at all. And I tell Byron this. I don't want to have that decision, but if I feel like you're making a decision that's not your best decision, then I will butt in. But like, as of now, I'm just neutral. I am paying attention to people. I'm paying attention to the relationships. I'm paying attention to how they're treating their athletes that they have now. I'm paying attention to coaches who are transferring, moving around. I'm watching it all.
A lot of people call it stressful, but for me, that's my vacation time, to just go see a new school, see how it is out there.
I'm neutral, but based on the relationships and the things that I've seen with the coaches and how they treated him as far as like development, recovery, taking care of his body and all that, my top 3 to 4 would be Texas, Syracuse, Oregon. Oh, now I gotta give you 4, huh? I say 4. TCU. Byron doesn't know that though, but I guess he gonna find out listening to this. But He doesn't know that.
90% of football is mental and 10% physical. Well, the reason behind it is that 90% of people don't want to pay that 10% price. So when I think of that, that's why you continue to see the same people in the top 100. That's what just keeps me going, just knowing that nobody want to see Byron Washington come pancake them. No one want to see me running at them. So I use that to my advantage. Not only my size, but just my mental strength, being that I went through a lot of things at a young age. I'm excited to see my mom in the stands on the bigger stage and just me being able to do what my family couldn't do. Like my dad, he was a college athlete.
Who do you think is better than Byron, him and his dad?
Byron, I said his daddy that.
Actually, I'm more versatile than my dad. He was more of a power pulling guard, but me, I could stop edge rushers. I can stop the power guys in the interior. I'm just a versatile person, and I can snap sometimes too. So me being able to play all 5 positions, that just set me apart from my dad.
Know your dad's same age, you win.
I'm saying me, just because my knowledge I have a lot more knowledge of the game than him. For him back in his time, it was just run through somebody. For me, I know leverage. I know if I can hit him to the left and just snatch him down with the right, I just feel like I know leverage better than he does at this age. And the day he played, like his name wasn't that big coming out of high school, so I'm able to use my name. I'm just glad to be able to use my name to, open up doors, give kids advice, and most importantly, gain NIL out of it.
If you could choose an NIL deal that you would be happy that Byron had, what would it be?
Probably like Nike, somewhere big and tall, because that's our struggle a lot. Big and tall clothes that don't look like he's 60. And somewhere with some fish, because salmon is high. Byron loves salmon.
I like being an athletic trainer, so I want to study sports medicine because I'm in the training room a lot as a bigger person because a little chop block for someone else might have me out for a couple weeks. So I know I just got to maintain that ice tub, that stem, and all that. So just seeing my athletic trainer work on me, that's what I want to do when I grow up. Work on other kids, and share my knowledge to kids while being able to fix their injuries and giving them advice. It's fun being able to be with people who you look up to that's on TV and that you want to be where they at one day. So they give you advice, work on the little things like flexibility and, stuff that people don't look at. But, flexibility plays a big factor in playing football. It can stop you from getting the smallest injuries. So they just give me advice. I'm glad to have them as people to talk to.
How's your relationship with Kavante Turpin?
Turpin, he's smaller than me, but that's big bro for real. He from Monroe as well, so 2 Monroe legends living it on the big stage. So, yeah.
Tell me some advice that Turpin has given you that you think about often.
Keep your head down and keep working. You're gonna be great. Yeah. The bag already gonna be there because your size, but what you gonna do when you get the bag?
Where's the lucky lady?
Huh?
Who's the lucky lady?
You say what?
You got a lucky lady?
Nah. Yeah. No, lucky lady.
Byron talks to little girls, but I am strict about that as well. I'm just like, you gotta know the world you live in. And at the end of the day, you're a big black boy. You gotta know. Well, I can't tell his secrets, but he has friends. Nobody formally to my house, no formal introduction. Of course, we'll be at the school, all the cheerleaders and different things, they want to run in, everybody want to get a picture. We go to a basketball. We went to like Caddo Mills, which was like an hour and a half away. And he probably had like their whole cheerleading team. Can you take a picture with me? Can you take a picture with me? Oh, I just want to stand by him. He's so tall.
Number 76 and Byron Washington are two different people. When I'm on the field at 76, I'm a different person. I'm an animal. Like, I don't care about, like, I wouldn't say I don't care, but to be honest, like, I really don't care about people. I just wanna, like, when I look at the opposing D-line, like, you're in the way of my mama getting that car. But Byron Washington, he's a humble kid who is a people person and understands why God put him on this earth.
So, wrap.